Boom, we're back, and today we have half gi instead of yes gi or no gi. We also have the famous Matt Porn Stash on the right and Joe the Tornado on the left. This is a match for the king of the white belts. Let's see how it goes. Matt starts off fast by quick using an arm drag. With the arm drag, and he's doing it correctly because we can see his hips are glued to Joe's hips. He's not leaving any space, and now he's working to look for his takedown. He starts off on the left side of Joe, but then he's going to quickly transition. Joe is establishing a strong base here, so he wants to go to the other side to get him moving. Now once he switches sides, he's trapping the hip, and then he's lifting and dumping. He wants to make sure that he can cut the knee out, so when he lifts him, Joe won't be able to post on the mat with his knee. As soon as he takes the ground position, he's going towards the back. He puts Joe in full back control with both hooks in. Now he's even looking to set up his own choke immediately by trapping the arm with his leg, and now Joe is caught in a one-handed rear naked choke. From this position, it's not looking good for Joe. All Matt has to do here is squeeze a little bit, and he gets the tap from Joe. It's a quick tap for Matt, but the round's not over yet. If Joe can tap out Matt more times than he gets tapped, he'll be the king of this white belt match. They slap hands and they again engage in the wrestling position. Both men are smart and they're engaging in hand fighting. You have to hand fight so you can open up lanes to attack them. Now Matt likes to believe he's Yoel Romero, so he's going for a quick pick here on the ankle, but Joe is so quick that he can easily pull back, and now Matt is setting up an underhook and wrist control. This is considered a really good wrestling grip, and from here he's trying to get a toss. We can see here that Matt sends his hips in, but Joe is countering this, so Matt has to go to a different attack. He again has the wrist, and now he's a deep waist, and he's going to first try a wizard kick. Now, this kick isn't the strongest, but he can quickly transition to pull the ankle out with his other leg, and he catches Joe off balance. As he catches Joe off balance, he immediately takes him down, moves right past the guard, and he's going immediately into side control, not setting up too good of a time for Joe. Joe believes he'll have more success in the turtle position, so he goes to turtle, but he gets his back immediately taken, and Matt sets both of his hooks in. Also, I want you guys to notice that Joe has an enormous booty, so he's going to use his hips to try and put Matt in a high back control position. If he can get here, he can try and bump him off because Matt will lose his control. However, Matt is pretty used to this because he rolls with Joe quite a bit. If you're a white belt and you're in this position, make sure you keep your hips high the entire time. If you are flattened out like Matt is doing to Joe here, you're going to have a miserable experience and it's going to be very tough for you to get out. Always try and stay on your knees so you don't get flattened. Now quick look in the background, we see two blondes. They're going to be tomorrow's content between Amber and Serena. Amber's never been on the channel, so make sure to watch the video tomorrow as well. Matt is immediately looking to attack Joe here because Joe is trying to get Matt's legs over his shoulder. Matt doesn't want Joe to escape, naturally, but as he's turning, Joe is starting to set up his control here where he can finally escape this back position. He catches the leg of Matt, and as he catches this leg, we can see that Matt has both of his legs over the arm. Kind of a peculiar position, however, it's not going to allow you to have too much control if Joe decides to spin. And that's exactly what Joe is going to do. He's going to take this time and he's going to use his body to rotate towards his right. Once he rotates towards his right, he's going to force Matt to an inverted guard, but more importantly, Joe finally escaped that back control. So that was really nice work by Joe to be able to defend himself from that control where Matt had both hooks in and be able to get on top. Now while they work in this position, let's do my question of the day. My question is, what guard are you best at? Not your favorite guard, but what do you do the best with? I really like half guard where I can put one of my insteps in, and I always prefer to sit on my right side with my left instep. Let me know in the comments. Now quickly, we can see here that Matt is transitioning out of inverted guard and he's going towards regular guard. Make sure you're careful in this position because that's a really easy spot where you can get armbar or triangled if you're not familiar with the spot. So white belts out there, always keep your arms in and your neck tucked. Notice how high Matt is over the shoulder of Joe here. He has his right arm completely compromised and he's going to set up a sweep. He's going for the flower sweep, which is hard to see from the camera angle, but Matt is scooting under the left leg of Joe and he controls the arm and he's going to use this flower sweep to go straight into mount. That was a really nice sweep by Matt and I really like the flower sweep, so it's awesome to see that one on the channel from a white belt. Now from here, he's trying to keep Joe tight. He has a nice seatbelt control, and after we see that he has seatbelt control, we also see something special.
Boom, perfect timing.
Known as your favorite commentator, Tyler, rolling one-armed with Zach the purple belt. Now Matt is going to try and roll Joe here. He uses his seatbelt control to pull him and he wants to try and take his back once again. However, Joe is doing a nice job turning into guard, but this does put Matt in a really high guard position. He's already setting up his next submission. He's going to transition immediately into the triangle and then he's going to lead it up with another attack. Because Matt is so far on his side, it's very easy for him to keep rolling and then to attack the armbar for the tap. Let's see that one more time. We have Matt really high with this triangle, and because he's so high, it's very easy to roll. He wants to keep this rolling momentum going so he can transition to the arm. Once he has this arm, this becomes a belly down armbar. It's extremely tight and Joe is forced to tap. Now that submission took Matt quite a bit longer to get on Joe, but I'd say that was a much better submission. It looked very clean. I liked all the transitions he had to do to get there, but alas, the two men are going to start standing again and do their hand bump and get right back into the wrestling part of the round. I really like that both these men are engaging in wrestling. If you can only do jiu-jitsu from your back, I'm not going to say that you're bad at jiu-jitsu. I'm just going to say that you're missing a large part of the game. Now Matt is immediately attacking with an overhook and he wants to control the wrist. Joe goes for a knee pick, but Matt quickly defends it. He even had an underhook attack going on the other side, so if Joe would have had that, he could have flipped him. Now Matt is setting Joe up. He pushes Joe forward hard, and then he's going to go for a nice hip toss. He needed Joe's momentum to really help him out here, but let's see that one more time. As Matt pushes forward, he knows that Joe has to come back. Once Joe comes back, he throws the hip across, lands perfectly with his hip toss into side control, and he doesn't stay in the headlock position. He immediately transitions off of the headlock and he starts attacking the arm of Joe. Now there are 3 quick attacks you can do from here. You can do a Kimura, Americana, or a head and arm. Matt is going to choose the last one of those 3 options. He's setting up a head and arm choke here on Joe, and he has his left leg tight to Joe's hip so Joe can't pull him into the guard. Once he has this head and arm, Joe's doing a nice job keeping the arm straight, but this only takes a little bit of time of Matt readjusting so he can try and change this to make it a tighter choke. Joe wants to keep his arm straight, but it doesn't matter all the time. If it is straight, you just have to keep squeezing. He gets another nice tap on Joe, and now we go into the next round, and we're going to start wrestling again. The two men fist bump and hand slap and get right into it. Again, we're starting with the hand fighting. I never can stop mentioning this because it's so important. Both these men know they have to do it, and they're going to set up their shots with this. Matt goes for a quick takedown, but Joe has a really nice sprawl, and from here he's going to lead it up with an immediate go behind. This is finally Joe's turn to get some momentum going for himself. Now once he's behind Matt, he's looking to attack Matt and try and set him up in a good position. Matt is staying crafty, however. He wants to stay in a tight ball, and as he goes towards his back, Joe is going to follow him into the side control position. I would say side control is not my favorite spot to be on bottom. I'd rather be in turtle, but Matt has other plans up his sleeve. Instead, he's going to try and attack the heel of Joe. Now this first time, it doesn't work. Joe does a nice job switching his hips, but Matt's going to try it again. He's bringing his right leg over and he's hooking the left heel of Joe. This allows him to pull the hip by, then Matt can use his left arm to push Joe into the full guard. Now this next move is really crafty from a white belt, so pay attention. Matt uses his left hand to catch Joe's left elbow. With this, he has an armbar set up. He just swings the hips around and he gets a really nice armbar that's quick on Joe, and Joe is forced to tap. Now, yes, it's true that Joe has been tapped many times by Matt in this role. However, the more important thing is that Joe is trying every round and he wants to get better. He may look visually frustrated, but it's more important that Joe is trying to improve at jiu-jitsu, so good job, Joe. This does bring us to the end of the video, however, so if you appreciate the video, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, thank you to all my current patrons for being a member in my community. Thanks for watching the video.